can. Please bow our heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together today. We ask for your guidance as we conduct business for the Township's Park and Recreational Committee. We do ask for your guidance and wisdom as we deliberate on issues that will impact the township. We also ask for your blessings to all the residents of Dalton Township. We offer this prayer in your name. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Randall's not here, absent. Michael Bennett here. Marvin Nash,
Present.
Mark Grant here, Mike Somerville.
Present.
Oh, it's not. Administration. Okay. Approval of the agenda.
Make the motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
Approved. Been voted that.
Just all in favor, say
All in
aye.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved to look past meeting minutes. Have a chance to look at those. Right now, motion to approve.
I will motion to approve the minutes. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Or any discussion?
Sorry.
Any discussion? No.
And one abstention. That is I, because I was not present for the last meeting.
Wasn't either. You can still approve the minutes.
You can still prove them, yeah.
Okay,
Still approve the minutes as, even though you weren't here, just like I did.
okay.
And then it was all in favor and you said aye,
All in favor? Said aye.
and no one was opposed. Okay,
You don't want to do the parks report?
We got the parks report.
you guys want me to run through it real quick, or did everybody get a good look at it, I guess? I feel like Justin would normally tell you guys.
Yes.
So they had the 50 tons of diamond dust delivered to Beagle Sports Park. The Sports Academy had asked about renting a sod cutter and making part of the infield bigger to support more ages and leagues being able to play at Beagle. So they've been working alongside of Justin and the team to make sure that that's happening. We also, or we as in Justin and the team, built the frame for the community board, or for the communication board that is installed. He said, thank you for your support on that. It turned out really great. The swings are also in as well, and replaced a bar on the climbing dome. So everything is ready for spring. Kept the parking lot clear over the winter at Padley. Catalpa did spring cleanup at Duff Field. Kept the parking lot clear. Pulled out broken post. Did some spring cleaning. Equestrian trail, they kept the parking lot clear, keeping it maintained. Bike path, kept the path clear, as well as parking lot at McMillan and Bard Road. Blew the trail off and repaired some plow damage. And then the Twin Lake sign, electrical was ran for the light post where the flagpole will be. And we now have a light for the flag once it is up and installed. It has been in communication with the supplier and looking for mid-May and delivery.
Have any public comment? Guests are here for
Yeah, they're later.
Another thing, so-
Yep, later.
no public comment. We don't have to open it.
You have to ask 3 times.
Oh, Any
You-
public
you asked
comment?
twice
Any
already.
public comment? Any public comment? No public comment.
Okay.
Election of officers.
And this is what we said was the two, there's only two spots, vice chair and chair for election.
Oh, we just did that.
So it's annually, and it's fine if you keep the same person, but I think in the, it says annually, those positions are up. Double check.
Want to re-elect the same officers or?
Yeah, it says at the
Anybody want
first
to nominate
regular meeting of each year.
Mr. Michael over there for anything?
Well,
Not me.
Mr. Chairman, I would just suggest to ask the question, is there anybody on the board presently who may have an interest in securing one of the positions?
I know there's only three of us
Yeah.
that can do it. I mean, Mr. Bennett is on the board. So
I have no desire.
I don't either.
I don't think that Randall, I think he's fine with
keeping it as it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it as well.
Okay, well, I would like to introduce a motion that we keep the current leadership in the same position for the next year.
Second that motion.
Good. So roll call vote. So we're going to motion to keep as is.
So that would be Randall
Randall Lomas.
is the chair and Mark is the vice chair. Okay.
Yes.
I guess I'm secretary. Do you want me to do roll call?
Yes, fine.
Okay. So Randall's not here. Michael Bennett,
Yes.
Marvin Nash,
Yes.
Mark Grant,
Yes.
Mike Somerville,
Yes.
and then Todd Holland is the alternate. So that passes.
That's it for that. The business. Discussion items. We have Duffield. My understanding is that there's a softball team that wants to use it now that we almost changed it to a dog park.
Correct. That indeed is correct.
Does that mean anything?
Not necessarily. I think it was more so just to let you guys being aware of it. It sounded like it was a team that most of the people were located in Holton, and they just didn't have a field like close proximity that they could use for practice. So that would be a downside of us turning it from that use to the dog park, that we're gonna not have that be able to be utilized. Justin did work with them to get it available for practice. It's not like game ready type field, but they can practice there. So I guess just going forward, when we get into those things, what we're gonna do. And he did let them know that there are people who do come in there from time to time to have their dogs run, and they throw the ball to their dogs. And so the team was all aware that that would be happening as well. So
Yeah, from what I read, it sounds like everybody's happy with it being a dog park and
yeah,
softball field.
yeah. So far, no issues, but just the putting it out there in case there does
Right.
become something later on. But
Do we provide any type of disposal for when the dogs poop?
yeah, they've had that there for I want to say almost 2 years. They have a dog. It's got like doggy bags on it.
bags.
Okay.
With the- Any, should we do any type of schedule or at least like notification, like, hey, this is Tuesdays and Thursdays for the month of May, practices 6 to 8, just
That is a good idea. We do that for Beagle.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be a bad idea to just have it posted. So if the team was going to be there, like you said, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, there's a sign up that says,
right.
you know, Little League team or softball
Yeah.
team practicing.
Hey, the more used to me, let's go.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Great. We have the shoreline trails and greenways plan update. Give us, you want to introduce yourself and
Yeah.
let us know. I took a look at the book for that, like I was gonna print it.
And eventually, we do have funding to, I gotta get careful, I get in trouble for weeds because I got different groups I'm in.
Yep.
So I'm Aaron Mass, I'm a resident in the city of Muskegon. This is my wife Amy, who's a township native, Reese Buffer grad, and her parents still live over on Aura, so we've been coming up this way a long time. I'm here as a volunteer, so I'm the chair of the Muskegon County Parks Commission. I was also involved in the shoreline trails and greenways planning process through the Muskegon County Bicycling Coalition. So, and I know they've adjusted and stuff through the years on different things and helped out. And so, but my day job, I at Ottawa County Parks. I've been in government since 2003 and been with the county parks since 2016. So acquire land, get trails built and stuff. And so one thing is, as we talk about this, we'll talk about the plan, but also like we're also thinking about implementing the plan. So this sit on the shelf. And as I talk, feel free to interrupt me and ask questions. Was up with the sleep, but we'll get it back. Great. So this was done officially through Whimsic, the regional MPO, Michigan Regional Shoreline Development Commission. So one thing about that's a little funky is their MPO, covers Muskegon County, but also north and west Ottawa County. So that's why the plan covers both of that. This is an update of their 2013 plan. This was where, and it was collaborative funding through funding from MDOT that was matched by the county, the Bicycling Coalition, the city of Muskegon. And this was the group that was on the steering committee. We still have an ongoing committee that meets quarterly at Whimsic, so others are welcome to be a part of it. One of the things one part, since it's funded with MDOT, there's a mix of transportation, but you'll have maybe a more recreational interest. But this first part is just quick. So in the plan, there's a lot of stuff about access for health and wellness, but also transportation needs for some of it. Well, most of us have a car, and you'll see in some of the maps that not at any time in America, like a third of people can't drive. They're too young, they've aged out, they have a disability, they can't afford it. So there's a good analysis maps of where the senior population is, where the younger population is, and you do have a good percentage of young people in Dalton Township. That pinkish color is 20 to 30% of your residents. So and I know there you do have some you have the Berry Junction Trail, but it is, well, Amy used to bike all over the place, but kids don't do that as much now from Aura all the way to Pioneer Park, right? So yeah. Then this is just some of the affordability. Cars are getting more expensive. Here, I know I checked your median household income is actually, I want to set higher than that.
but in parts of the county, it's pretty low. And this map kind of gets into that where, you know, there are the darker colors are more than 40% or 20 to 30% poverty, and this one is one that's the map that's more unusual. This is the darker blues are more than 20%. So there's some parts of the county where 20% of people don't have a car. So, which is pretty crazy when it's hard to get around without one. Then the plan also inventory how many miles of trail there are in the county. So Muskegon County has 61 miles about, and since the plan was finished last fall, there's quite a bit of trail being built this year. City of Muskegon's building about 4, Roosevelt Park's building some. Still, that's less than what there is in Northwest Ottawa County alone, so the Grand Haven, Spring Lake area. And then for another example, just in Holland area, this is from the Holland MPO's plan, there's 227 miles. So like Park Township and Holland Township down in Ottawa County have more miles of trail than all of Muskegon County in just their township. I mean, those are, you know, like heavily populated, but they've been building them for a long time. And then my day job, we manage 39 miles of trail and are building 16 miles in the next 5 to 10 years. That's just a show for later what
And when you say trails, are you talking
8 to 10 foot pathways
okay,
that are side paths or
paved or something that you can
yes.
ride?
Yeah, all the ones in Ottawa County are all asphalt or concrete. They're different places have crushed stone, but we don't manage. There's not any crushed stone in Ottawa County. Yeah, and these would all be 8 foot or wider, not like a sidewalk, which is 6 foot usually. One thing as far as from the local level about their desire for trails, a lot of parks plans, including yours, there's an interest in building more trails at the local level. I know we had a post after I presented at Dalton Township. We had a post on another group I'm involved with on Facebook post about the presentation, and there was a resident who lives on Giles that said, you know, I feel like my kids are trapped here, can't get to school and stuff like that. So I think there's part of the recreation, it's part just, you know, these out here, when I grew up in Grand Rapids, you know, there's sidewalks everywhere, but it's a little more challenging up here and the speeds and then, or there's ditches, so it makes it tough to walk. So in the plan, there's just kind of some basic things that it was trying to accomplish. I think they're pretty common sense. It's, you know, getting connected between communities. We do have a good regional spine that gets you kind of into Oceana County, you know, to Grand Rapids, but there's other connections. It's not well connected to the Grand Haven area from Muskegon County. Then it's access to nature. So you got the Great Berry Junction Trail, but you can't get into the lakeshore from there or out, you know, to the other parts of your township from there. Then it's just access to basics needs, daily needs, like school or jobs. I know Justin says he bikes on Russell, so people do it. These are one thing. There's a step, and I don't in the plan to identify the routes, but also prioritize them. And this just lists how, when you see the priorities that I'll show how they did it. So now into the plan. This is the whole region. The purple dotted routes are the proposed routes. And the solid purple lines are the existing routes. You can see that there's quite a few more in Ottawa County, and we're going to build another 3 miles here this summer down there. So this is my map. I do GIS at work, so as my free time, I make the maps to try to, for one, I'll show a map of your township, and I can send a PDF so you can see it too. Just so we could put the, you know, one of the things, there's a lot of parks and stuff on here and destinations, so you can see it all together. So here's Dalton. The orange routes on here are ones like this plan was a really good process with progressive engineers. But through the whole thing, I think there's some spaces that, and Justin pointed out one, and Russell wrote it, maybe we want to add in the long term. They're not officially a part of it, but the purple ones are. So as we go, and I take feedback to try to think about those to make it bring that connectivity. But here you can see that for Dalton Township, the and this is in like the bigger region plan to get from Berry Junction Trail along the railroad to Fremont and to the White Pine Trail. Be a huge connection. It's not everybody in the government business is like the one people you don't like to work. Nobody likes to work with is railroads, but it can be done. It just takes a lot of persistence and time. Then there's connections up to the lakeshore from the Berry Junction and then up to some of the natural spaces in Blue Lake. Blue Lake Township, where it's, it's the northern part of your township, it gets pretty scenic. When you get the rolling hills more, it gets all the county parks connected. And I know one thing that people do, you could live, bike to Blue Lake Fine Parks Camp if you work there. And then this is the amount of mileage that is in the purple routes that it's adding. So that's a lot. So we go, if the full thing is implemented tomorrow, it's just not going to happen that way. But if it was, it'd be 180 more miles of trail. That does sound like a lot, but it goes back to this slide I showed earlier. Not all counting 180 miles, they have more than that just in the Holland area. So how that happens, that's another story, but it can be done. Kent County has a lot of miles too. But I'll get into how they're doing it after I get into some of the area maps. So that's just, it's nice. It's not quite as necessary because this big monitor makes it a little easier to see. These are I wanted to show the priority routes. This one's like a priority because it's in the big regional plan. They're actually, another organization, West Michigan Trails, is working in Newaygo County with Fremont and White Cloud. They're pretty excited to try to get that going. So they're working on it from that end. I'd also connect to the Dragon Trail. And then the yellow are medium and the orange are lower priority. I think, when you get into it, that's all based on if, scenic drive, apparently they're funding for that to connect Muskegon State Park to Duck Lake State Park. This has been worked on for a long time to get from Montague up to Medbury Park. So it's more, it's more like who's in line and who's putting the effort in. This is just Eastern Muskegon County kind of getting more connectivity over the Muskegon River. In this case, it goes outside the county a little bit in Newaygo because it's really tough to cross Maple Island. And I tell this story, everything I go, there's, if you Google Maple Island stories, I only learned recently that Maple Island was an island. And they're trying to return it to be an island. Up in Bridgeton, they did logging dams. And so there was a branch of Muskegon River that was like a 5-mile long branch that was on the south side of what was Maple Island. So there's the river watershed is trying to restore that, bring back the island because it was like 1,000 acres. And if you Google that, it's a pretty fascinating story about the Native Americans lived there and then how it was settled and logged, and it's pretty interesting. I know they're doing some culvert work on there pretty soon too. This is in the southwest part of the county, a lot of connectivity through the urban core. There's more people, but some of this is there's just different opportunities to take like infrastructure, like abandoned railroads, to use that in place and kind of do a rail trip in the city context. Like one big one that there's a lot of interest in is getting from the Muscatau Trail to Dune Harbor Park. This is the new park that the county bought a couple of years ago. Roosevelt Park is building a section of that this summer behind the Home Depot there. That's under construction now. And then there's a railroad that used to go to the Cannon Plant, but the Cannon Plant took it out, so it's just used to store cars. So you had this little jump to get right into the park if you just I took it out. Also, we have a rendering of that, what that kind of looks like. So I'll bring it to Dalton Township here. So this is the map we have for that. You can see how it connects. So you get, someday have this trail along the railroad and get you up to right by Twin Lake County Park, up on White Lake Road to get, back. You'd have like a loop for your township of trails. And then down here, like I think long term, since this trail should connect to something and get you to the school back, there'd be different ways to get through. Those would be the regional routes where that becomes important. It's like how do we implement this, right? Oh, all right. Before I get into the how, I wanted to get what it means for the township. So in the official plan, there's 8 miles of trails proposed for Dalton Township that are regional routes. So I guess, how do you implement how it'll be funded? And that's where I put on my hat is the Muskegon County Parks Commission. So in 2024, the Muskegon County Parks Commission was formed. It was, so we've been talking for 2 years about and how was involved in that plan, how to improve the parks. Right now, the parks funding is only from the fees from the motor vehicle passes at the parks, which is not most of the funding. Most of the funding is from the 2 campgrounds, from Pioneer Park and Minor Park. So there's no general fund money to pay for it. They have 3 employees, and they have and one thing I know from looking at parks plans around the county is almost every local unit has parks they want to improve and don't have much money to do it. I know you have parks you're working on and doing stuff. You have land that think I've heard some of that, you have a lot of excess land, right? Some of it, I think, which is in the blue here, because it's not officially parkland. And I know some of it's being sold off, I've heard, but then some of it, maybe up here, it's still like to make it parkland, like the equestrian.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff up by Lakewood Club is reserved for forestry in the plan. And then some of it can be used for infill for housing where there's already houses in that area. But a lot of it is left for forest, like for natural area.
Yeah. So there's different, and Holton Township has a park they've been working on. Cedar Creek has a park they've been working on. And so there's different levels. Of course, Lakeland Township and Fruitland Township are working in trails, and Blue Lake Township's been doing it with volunteer work, saying like Fruitland Township with the Duck Creek Nature Preserve. So there's a lot of needs, a lot of effort going into it. For the county parks, we're gonna actually go to this one first and then come back to the second one. Another big thing to make the upgrades to the park system, it's 10 million in deferred maintenance, and with the budget it had, the county parks has right now, there's no extra funding to improve or upgrade anything. So if there's something that you'd like to see improved at Twin Lake County Park, there just isn't the funding. They were able to, they are actively reconstructing the restroom at Pioneer Park right now. That was through ARPA funding plus a trust fund grant. It didn't come in over budget. It was, originally when they first started the project, it was estimated at 800,000. It came out at 1.1 million. So they had to dip in their meager reserves to do that. So they went from a 500,000 reserve to 200,000. And one windstorm or one washout at Pioneer Park can create big problems for that. In fact, they have a washout at Pioneer Park they're gonna have to work on. So it's really tight. And from over the years working with the county board, there's not a lot of slack in the county board budget. So but there seems to be interest in doing more with parks and upgrading them. This leads us to this option. Another thing I'll say about it, when we were talking about it though, is going back to this slide. So in my day job, I mentioned Ottawa County Parks. Ottawa County Parks started in 1987, had 400 acres, and it's now 8,000 acres. It's had a millage since 1996, a third of a mill. And it's been renewed 2 times in 2016 at 72%, but only 1% of the county was recreational land. It's mostly farmland, and there was a lot of parkland. Here, it's much different. You have the state game area, the national forest, even some of the, like, you're not the only township with excess land that is like, Sullivan Township has access. Yeah, South Rutland Township ended up with that Duck Creek Nature Preserve, and of course, Blue Lake Township is like all locked up by nonprofits. It's used as natural land, so it's not, there's, and then the wastewater treatment plant itself is larger than Ottawa County Parks land and holdings is 11,000 acres. We said it was 8,000. So there's not necessarily, I don't think there's a big need to buy more land. As it comes up like Dune River Park did. I'd like to be, have that opportunity. I think it seems like the more important thing is to take care of what we have, build this, implement trails, and then also a couple other things. It just needs natural resource management and stewardship. There's just things like, the forest pests and invasive species, take care of those. If you've been to Pioneer Park, you see the hemlock, woolly adulters is killing those. And there's some of those things you can't take care of, but some with people power you can. There's a lot of need for collaboration. There's, I know it's a really difficult process for some local units to have capacity to do a trust fund grant. Do these recreational grants. So that's a place where to leverage that funding, and then programming nature education being used. So the way that the other thing I mentioned, that the county's not the only one that has backlog of deferred maintenance. So the thing the county Parks Commission saw is that if we're going to do a millage, which we're talking about $500,000 in November, 30% of it would be split with the local units on a per capita basis. So that they could start to take care of things. In Dalton Township case, it'd be about $48,000 over 10 years. That would add up, and you could use it to match grants to do regular maintenance, to do rep programming, stuff like that, and leverage trust fund grants. The county park staff would also help with parks planning and help with grants, either directly helping write them or being alongside to prepare grants. So that would be another way. It's just with the needs being so great, it wouldn't just be for county park stuff. And then it would be to build trails in the plan, all the purple routes, so it would be eligible to fund with this millage. But it wouldn't just be funding, because some of it were, like I said, at Ottawa County, like we were building a trail from Grand Haven to Grand Rapids. I've been working on it since 2016. We've built a lot of miles, and we've got more to build, but it really takes a good chunk of like the director's time and my job and my supervisor's job to get it done, to drive the project, because getting easements, getting the funding, getting that. Now, the nice thing about it though is if you can have that time and the resources, we're building a $25 million trail. It's taken about $2 to $3 million of millage money to build the trail that we're building so far. So you can really start to leverage the dollars. Ottawa County Parks has spent, since in the history of the millage, spent over $100 million in capital, and more than half of it's been from grants and private donations and donations of land value. So that's the kind of plan of action. Two other things I'll mention. Maybe not as big here, but we know Alicia Cantola, the president of the county fairgrounds, is on the county parks commission, and we would do recreational development at the county fairgrounds, and also provide staff support, because they are all volunteer, and that's a major event. They could use the staff help to help run the events and do day-to-day stuff. And then the other thing, about the average house in Muskegon County, this would be $60 a year. We would eliminate parking fees. So Twin Lake County Park, Pioneer Park, Minot Park would be free for residents. That's $25 now. So a good chunk, you'd be trading, a thing if you go to those parks, and we would remove that, because as our operations manager, I take the trade, that it's not, parking is not a big part of the revenue. So we're The Parks Commission is gonna vote on that in May, to recommend the board, and the board will look at it in June and July, whether to put it on the ballot. And then go in November. So this is just, like I said, the orange routes would be funded. One question, if you're saying, well, what about other routes that, the purple routes would be funded. What if we, wanted like this Russell route up? What you could do is you go to propose it to Windsor Deck and it could get voted in. Like this is the preferred route of the township as the regional route instead of this route or whatever. You think you missed one, and then it could be eligible for the county portions share. Like you still use your per capita funding to do trails, but if you wanted a trail in your township that the county staff would work on or how to fund with millage money, that'd be the way to get it officially in there. So that, at least there's a way to make sure, keep the plan going and lively. I mentioned there's renderings in the plan as a kind of final thing. This is in Roosevelt Park where they're building that trail. So just to show what it looked like, it's a little different out here to do a rendering on. I think people know in general what some of these urban spots, it's a little weird what a trail looks like on a road on the side. So we didn't do any here. They are talking about a bridge over Shoreline Drive. And then we have like an old railroad that's owned by the DNR, by the old farmer's market. This is just north of Ethel. It was it's like an inner route, and then you could do these kind of things are really heavily used in other places. So while they're not all going to get funded at once. It took decades to build what Ottawa County built, and the county parks millage plus townships have local millages that they've been funding those for decades too. But those have been generally relatively popular. One thing, because we have no money, we haven't done any polling or anything to do that. But being a general election, as I understand it, to put it on the ballot it's not an additional cost. So versus doing a special election, then we find out where the voters are at. We can take that feedback to the county board, say, well, we're this far from the people, just, they love parks, but they don't want to pay tax for it. We'd learn that and either change the program or go back to the drawing board and advocate strongly for more general fund. But right now, general fund is just not an option. We can't really. We did raise the camp fees because it was in line. The state raised them. They're still pretty affordable. This is as the Parks Commission, this has kind of been where we're going. And also we have this trails plan and many locals want trails. This is how we can start to make progress in the plan. So that's really, yeah. And these were just some other places to get up close. Like it's really beautiful up here. You just want to get from your township to bike up to Big Blue Lake Park and back, or around the White River corridor. Again, from your township to there's several routes to get to Lake Michigan from Dalton Township off the Berry Junction Trail. Really trying to add that connectivity to those destinations. But that's presentation. So Heather's maybe be interested in the county board or the township board, be fine to do that. We are going all over the bit tour. As I said, the goal is not necessarily to ask for like any formal support. It's just to keep you in the loop so there's no surprises and everybody knows and gets the word out. Another thing, last thing I'll mention, we have another group we want to form a nonprofit, to support parks and fundraise to parks, but that'll happen after this. We receive where we're at the end of the year. That group is going all around the county to get people connected with parks. A lot of people doing park stuff and just to coordinate and share resources. So we meet third Friday of the month at 4 o'clock. We've done it at the Conservation District. We've been at Pioneer Park, at Fetch Brewing, the county fairgrounds we toured a couple weeks ago. And our next one's at Gillette Sand Dune Visitor Center. So that's where you can drop in and connect with other parks people that are interested in this thing. So that's how Justin came to the E1 at the Conservation District. So
Yeah.
Right.
So it sounds like you're pushing towards the millage being put on the ballot in November.
November, yep.
Okay.
Yes.
That'll be awesome if that passes.
I just hear for facts. Because I don't want to, there's, with these presentations aligned by, I'm as the appointed chair, I'm not here to lobby for it. I'm here to just give you the information.
Facts. Well, it sounds like if it didn't pass, you don't really have money.
Yes, this is what it would do. I can tell you, I know there's a slide about what, as far as like making, not everybody wants to develop, but if you want your kids to, children to stay, your family to keep living in this area, these kind of amenities are very important to quality of life. And other places are a thing that makes a community competitive. It also makes it competitive. I know for getting people to come, move here to go to Howmet, places like that, that's a huge deal for attracting and retaining talent. People with families like to see these kind of amenities. And then just in general for economic, to get places like Howmet and La Colombe that are, doing big things to continue to, and Sativa, to continue to come here, and you want to have these facilities. So Ottawa County Parks had for example, economic impact study. For every millage dollar spent, $6 million in $6 in economic activity, and that's done with. It's not. Sometimes those are fuzzy, but we have a service that uses mobility data that tells us where people are coming from, so we know that it's for people that are 25 miles or more coming to our parks and where they spent money before and after. So it's pretty solid data. And I think that common sense, the outdoor industry is like a $1.2 trillion industry. So that's we have one thing I can say, I know people, we hear it all the time, people move to Ottawa County because of the parks and trails, from out of state, especially. The one thing I believe is I got converted to be a very big Muskegon patriot here. Muskegon area patriot is we have the stuff that's maybe better than Ottawa County or Kent County. It's just we don't have all the pieces of investment to really help us. I think that's starting to go that way, and we need to keep going that way. And this is a piece of making that happen from a dollars and cents point of view.
I think if you have the funding as you get closer to November and it ends up on the ballot, if you have the funding to do flyers, that people need to be educated.
Yes, right now it's because that low funding, it's going to be grassroots for now, and that's where
Word of mouth.
and that's why we're touring the county as this Muskegon Parks and Greenways group. We have a social media presence with that to get connections to people. We have an email list to that. Yeah, it would if you had a
Email would be great.
yes.
I forget about those things.
Yeah, so to get the word out and activate people, so it's trying to do it on a shoestring. In general, I can say in the state of Michigan, parks and trails and villages are pretty popular. Oakland County just doubled theirs in 2024. It passed by 69%. It's not Oakland County, but I just think there's groups of pockets, and just based like on parks plans and these conversations, there's a lot of people that really want more investment in the county parks and trails and in their local parks. And this is trying to do that all in one thing.
Yeah.
To move that needle, it's not going to fix everything, but it would help a lot.
Did Justin mention to you that we were looking at for future down the road, having the connection from the trail to Beagle Sports Park, which is on Tyler?
Yeah, I read it in your parks plan.
Okay.
I saw that, and that's the thing where it gets into, there's like regional trails, like the state highway, and there's local trails. I mean, could you argue if you had this one, yeah. And again, there's ways to help grants and stuff like that too. So, well, very much appreciate your time and having me, and like the conversation. And Heather has my email, so if wanted any more questions or.
Thank you. Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, before you get to next public comment, we got he said grant thing, and it reminds me of grants. Justin, we got the update after he was putting this together. So we did put in 2 applications and we were not completely sure because one of the things maybe potentially got missed. And they said that they were still going to process them once we finished the little clerical error that we had. So we had 2 grants going for the MI passport grants through the DNR for Big Sport Park. So we'll see if we get both. One, none.
That was for the parking lot.
One was for parking lot and pathways, and one was for pathways and bathroom.
Awesome. Cool.
So that will be in the thing will be the next board meeting too. So
There was a game out there when I drove by today. There was games all weekend there. I mean,
Oh, it was packed when I went by.
with TSA helping out now and coming in, that was, I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of use.
yeah, we talked about trying to look at different policies and stuff too, because I know during the season at Malali they'll have like banners up, like different people sponsor and do banners.
Fun fact, you can't at Malali. You
Yeah.
can, you have to take them down.
Yeah.
I'm on the Reese Buffer board in Dalton Township. You cannot put banners up on the field and leave them. If you put one up, you have to take it down every night.
Okay.
And I've showed them pictures. I'm like, here's Roosevelt Park. Here's
Okay.
Beach. They all do it.
Yeah.
It's like $500. Look, that's a lot of money for a league. You could split it, share it, whatever.
Yeah.
You cannot at Laketon. So if that is a thing we could do at Beagle, that
Yeah.
is also a huge advantage.
Got like different like legal routes and stuff too, because there's how you get funding in. You have to like cut have a tracker for anything that you get that is not volunteer. People give it to you. Yep.
Donation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like donated funds. We have to create a GL that's specific for that park, so that way it gets used specifically for the
That
park.
makes sense.
So
Yeah.
yeah, there's ways to do it. We just got to figure out how
Yeah.
to do it. So
Awesome. Yeah, it's a sensitive subject. I wasn't so bad
yeah,
because
but
it's tough.
yeah, I would like to, at least we tried to have the community day last year. There was some miscommunication with the sports team and us. Like we were going to go out and then they had a like all weekend tournament that weekend. We're like, well, we can't really like paint the dugouts with you in them. But yeah, we're going to work on trying to do some of that stuff too. So
Time for public comment again. Any public comments? Any public comments? Any public comments?
Like, you good back there?
Want to make a comment?
He loves the bike trail.
Want to turn your hat sideways?
Yeah, or at least forward. Or...
Just I don't know what to say. Anyway, before we adjourn, Justin's email that he sent out, he indicated the next meeting was, the date he gave was actually a Friday. So ignore that and go to the schedule for our next meeting, and that is accurate. So I just noticed that. I looked at that and I thought, wait a minute.
He said June 26th, I think.
I can't remember what he said. Anyway, his email was the wrong date, but
Yeah.
I think it's in June. But it's a Monday, so it's not Friday. Anyway, that's all I have.
Being said, ready to adjourn. We don't have to vote on that, do we?
motion support,
Motion.
all in favor.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Support.
All in favor?
Support.
Almost.
I.
Thanks to.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for coming.
Need that information.
Motion and you support
Thank
it.
you for the presentation. Bob Lukens looks up in the,
Yes.
he did that presentation for us